Alright, well, I got called out for not putting up a video I promised you guys about 8 months ago. So here it is. What do you say we get right to it? So here's the format and the concept for today's video, as it will be a little bit different. Feel free to slap that thumbs up button if you end up liking it, but here's what we're going to do. The video I originally mentioned this in was called Support and Resistance Made Easy, and the concept you can check out over there. The link is in the description. Just pause this video and go watch that one. It's only 4 minutes and we talk about the world's easiest way to consistently draw in support and resistance. Now, no indicator is going to do it like this, but you're finally going to learn how to do it the most consistent way. I'm guessing that all those thumbs up and lack of comments mean that it was extremely easy for anyone to do and understand, so much so that nobody had any questions. Today's video, which I mentioned in that video, is going to be examples of this, okay? The market is currently closed, the charts are not moving, and this is one of those things that you can do over the weekend to prep for your week ahead. So in this video, we're going to put a link in the description to a workspace that you can download and put into your own NT8 platform. Now it's going to contain all those open charts with all the drawings of support and resistance on it. So go download it, install it, and open it in your NT8 to get the exact same charts and drawings all laid out like what we're doing here. So really, if you do find something like this useful, like I said, thumbs up the video. We might turn it into a weekly thing. If you have any comments, suggestions, toss those in there as well. So just while I've been talking to you guys, I've been loading up some of the majors and the minors and some other crosses in the FX markets, and also loaded up some future contracts. Along the left hand side of the screen, I'm going to put all the details of each chart, just in case you don't want to use the workspace and would rather continue using your own and just want those details laid out. So here are the rules. Number 1, support resistance must be obvious or we won't draw it in. Number 2 is we're going to do all this on a 60-minute time frame. There might be some charts where we go up or down one slightly, but we're going to do it this way just to get those shorter term traders understanding what we're going to be doing, and also the longer term. That way you can apply it to time frames that you mainly trade as well. And rule number 3 is that support and resistance is not just going to be a range, it is also going to include channels. So first chart, I'll do a quick recap and then we're just going to go continue through each chart. It's great practice to do this over the weekend just to prep yourself for the week ahead, and it will save you a ton of time during the week. So if you're someone that doesn't have a lot of time, this is definitely something that you're going to want to do on a Friday night, a Saturday, or a Sunday. All right, so we're just going to begin here. We're going to start from the US CAD. We're going to draw in a resistance again, that furthest pip out to where most of the candlesticks are. It doesn't look that obvious. So let's start with support again, furthest pip out, most of those candlesticks, and we're going to be looking for that resistance now. So resistance, looks like nothing's obvious there. Let's go up higher. We're going to have to look at what's obvious. So 136 and above, and then we're looking at 122 and below. That pink line should be familiar if you're in our webinars. Okay, so trying to find support on this, trying to find resistance. Looks like we might be in a channel instead of looking at a range this time. So again, it's still going to be the same thing with a zone mapping in your support resistance areas. We're just going to try and line this up a little bit better here so you can see where resistance and where support might be. There we go. So you would really be looking from the furthest pip out to where most of those highs would be, and we're going to draw that in using our channel tool the best that we can. Now again, going out for the US Swissy, we're going to be looking at probably going up a time frame. You can see nothing's clearly obvious, so we're going to load up more days first here, and you can see where our support would be. That looks pretty clean. Now we need to find resistance furthest pip out. Do we have anything that shows us higher time frame that we have resistance? It looks like we do, it's just we have it marked in the wrong place. So let's go where it is obvious. Again, furthest pip out to where most of those candlesticks touch, and there's that magical pink line. All right, let's put in our support area and furthest pip out, and most of those candlesticks are touching there. That looks pretty clean, pretty obvious. Let's mark that in. You know what that means. So let's go to the US yen. Again, trying to figure something out here, not a whole lot of data to kind of show us where that support resistance is. So we're going to add in some more, just see if there's something a little bit more obvious down here. And you can see that we'll take that furthest wick and we'll go all the way where most of those candlesticks touch. And we're going to look for the same thing with resistance. Double check it. There we go. All right. So now we can see where that would be. So now we got those levels in there. We're going to map in that famous pink line and move on to our Aussie CAD. Drawing in support. Looks pretty clean. Same with resistance. Bring that down. Most of those candlesticks touch there. Remember, you don't want to draw in anything that isn't obvious. So let's move on to our Aussie yen. Again, we got to load up some more data. It's not clean. It doesn't stand out. It doesn't jump out at us. So we need to find something that does. What do we have? So let's go out to our 4 hour, maybe go up a time frame, see things a little bit more cleaner. You might be able to draw a channel like that. Well, not really. Again, you want that to stand out. So let's put support in there. Furthest pip out where most of those candlesticks touch. We're going to do the same thing with resistance. Okay, and you can see at this, you can start to see where that pink line would be if you follow us and join us in our webinar. So there's our data series box. We're going to load some more data here on this Aussie Kiwi. This is a 60-minute. We're going to jump out all the way to our 4 hour because there's nothing really obvious there on the 60-minute. And then you can spot this sort of channel that we're in. So that might be something to consider there. Again, for this pip out to where most of those candlesticks touch. And we'll jump over to our Aussie dollar. So let's load up some more data. It looks like we're in a bit of a bearish move there. But you can see that if we add in some more days, you can see where resistance would probably be very clear support. For the most part, might want to load up some more data even yourself and double check that one. So our this is our CAD Swissy. Now we're going to be looking at support, which should be pretty clean. Let's look up some more data here just to double check that. You can see that if we are going to use this, it's kind of interesting. You might use it as a smaller channel. It looks like we have like almost like a channel leading up to actually a smaller range. You see how that kind of fits in. This would be almost like where our channel would be, and it's kind of broken. And then you can start to see that we're kind of creating this range up at the top. So one of the things that you can do with this is either draw your support down lower like this and your resistance up here, and just remember where that channel was. And this actually might be almost like a little range up here. And if you want, you can take your little rectangle tool and you can actually draw in where your range would be so that you don't lose focus on it. And there's our little pink line. All right. So this looks a lot better. And it looks like we're pretty much ready to go on to our CAD yen. So again, support looks pretty clean. And now we're going to take that furthest wick out. And I'm just going to try and adjust it here a little bit. And move it all the way back up and put in our resistance. Again, where most of those candlesticks touch. And we are ready for the next one. Just going to double check this one quickly though and put in some more data just to see if, you see, this again, it might be one of those smaller sort of ranges that just completed after a channel. You can see where that range would be. You might even drop down to a 30-minute for those of you who like the smaller time frames. This might work out well for you, but keep an eye on that, and we'll go over to our Euro Aussie. Okay, now this looks like it's basically in a channel here. We might want to look at some more data just to confirm that that is what we should be looking at. So if we kind of come down here and yeah, you can see if we load in more data, it should be a little bit more obvious on where that channel would be. And it looks like we just recently pulled back off those highs. You can even extend it maybe a little bit more and look at it this way. We might want to load up some more data on this EuroCAD too and just see if it follows the same sort of move. Now, I'd almost rather draw this as support and then that be our resistance. It kind of stands out a little bit more. Actually, maybe move this up and get those highs in there. That looks a lot better. So it looks like we had that small little channel in that range, and we can now move on to our Euro Swissy. All right, looking at the Euro Swissy, we're now going to be looking at probably a channel in this one. Seems like it's pretty common with a lot of the Euros, and we're going to just set that up right. Taking it to the furthest pip out to where most of those candlesticks is. That's our zone, right? Support resistance is just not one price point, but it's going to be an area. So we're just going to confirm that, load up some more data, and we're going to move that down just a little bit here and make it more concrete again for this pip out. Most of those candlesticks are touching there, and we can move on to our next one. So the euro pound, this is going to be actually pretty easy looking at from this area, but we probably should confirm that by loading up some more data just to know that we're looking at our highs that we should be. And you see here that that support to the left looks good, but we're going to fix our resistance. And well, let's go up to our 4 hour and we'll just check it out. You can kind of see how we can actually, if we do this here, let's try and bring this down just a little bit, and we're going to use that to draw in maybe support a little bit lower. Again, we want to use what stands out, right? Okay, so moving on to our Euro Kiwi, we're going to load up some more data on this one too. This is going to be just to confirm that we are in either a range or a channel. In this case, it started off looking like it might be a range, but you can see where that channel kind of takes over. So that looks good. Let's move on to our pound Aussie. And if you really want to get crazy as you're drawing all these out, you can actually set up alerts in NT8 with them so that you don't even have to know when price gets close, but you will just get an alert saying, you know, price entered into that zone that you've drawn in. So we're going to draw this a little bit. Let's load up some more data just to be sure. We're going to draw this in where we have our resistance and our support, but it looks like we'll have to use this lower one, and that's going to be our support. And then we have our resistance, and you can see how that kind of worked out. So the pound Kiwi, this is probably a pretty big spike here that we can maybe see a channel form from, but we could also, if you saw that as support, you might be right. Let's move on and we'll see how that works out next week. But you know what? Hold on. Let's go out to our 4 hour and we'll just kind of verify this. See, if you move that down, and that's our furthest pip, most of those candlesticks, and then we're going to do something here where we just load in a little bit more data than what we have been, just to confirm that you kind of see where this is going. You can almost draw in a channel, eh? That might even look a little bit better than your support resistance. So it looks good. Let's move on to our pound yen. Again, you can start to see where this would be. This is our little kind of small channel. If you like the smaller term stuff, probably looking at stuff like this. You can kind of draw that in as your resistance and support and kind of see where it goes next week. If I zoom in, it seems a little bit more obvious, but I think that's the best we'll get. We're just going to do the same here on the pound Swissy, and we're going to load up, again, 250 days usually gives me enough data, and you make that a preset while you do that too, but for speed and all that, keep it rather small. So we'll load that up as our support and resistance. We'll do the same thing here on our Kiwi CAD. There's our support, there's our resistance. Looks pretty easy. We're going to double check it now and load up that 250 bars and our days of past data. And then we're going to move that up and we're going to toss in our support resistance on our Kiwi Swissy now. So let's load up 256 days because nothing stood out. And if we look at it now, see, I want to go to the 4 hour and just see what's, you see that? There we go. That's obvious. So that's going to be our area resistance. We'll draw support in here, and that looks pretty much ready to go. So this is our Kiwi yen, look pretty similar. So I'm going to take the same sort of approach here and load up some more days. We're just going to see what gets us. Again, support looks good, but resistance is probably lacking a bit. Let's move on to our Kiwi, and we're going to load up some more days. I have 350. It seems like we might need a little bit more on this Kiwi. Let's see here. Resistance you can kind of spot, but where's support? Or are we in a channel? That's something that we're still going to have to figure out. So you can kind of draw it like this, but I feel like I'm kind of forcing it. Let's Let's go out to our 4-hour and see if we get any sort of clarity. See, support looks a lot better, so I'm going to take resistance up here, and that looks just great. This is in our futures now. We're now looking at oil. So again, the furthest sort of pip out is what we want to be looking for support. Looks like it's more in a channel than an actual range. Let's go out from a 60-minute to a 4-hour. Now this will change a lot going out to a 4-hour, and we can kind of see where that might actually be for the start of that channel. Looks pretty good actually, and for those of you who have some skilled eyes, you might actually see a pattern there. So again, let's draw in our support. That looks good, and we're going to draw in resistance. Just wonder if we can get something on the shorter term. Doesn't really look like it. We're going to go out to the 60-minute here, load up some more data just to be sure it does in fact work. And you can see how our resistance looks pretty good. Support could be modified a bit, and that starts to look a little bit better. Going to the ES, again, we're going to be pulling out our support resistance kind of in that area. Look, this has been kind of trending for a while, so we're starting to see it start to range. I'm going to draw in where that little range would be, and we're going to move on to the NQ. Let's load up some more days here, and we're going to just press OK. And we're looking actually for an area of support and resistance that is probably going to be in this channel. It has been in a bit of a trend recently, and it does look like that kind of works. For this style of video, you can see what you might be looking at for the week ahead. We're going to put all the time codes below if you want to review any of the past charts. But other than that, you should be able to download that workspace with all these drawings. Hopefully this works out. If you like this sort of style of thing, go ahead and slap that thumbs up button. Let me know you do, and we'll see you guys in the next video.